Okay, what's up, good people? So, um, in light of me doing my own little review about the Lapeef um, network on YouTube, his panel that he held a couple days ago with a bunch of men, he asked them, "What do you think gets a woman to fall in line, love or leverage?" So, I want to start a challenge, okay? And I want this challenge to go very far so that men can understand how leverage is used and how it's not a good thing. Now, we know they know this, but we're going to expose them. So, let's look at the definition of leverage. One of the definitions of leverage is the ability to influence situations or people so that you can control what happens. Now, let's look at some of the synonyms of leverage: exploiting, abusing, manipulating, or milking. So, I'm going to start with one of my stories first. So, a long time ago, I was in a very unfortunate situation after my grandmother passed away and she left me property and my family stole it. There was a guy friend that I had that was very, very abundant in resources. And due to me and my son not having anywhere to stay because my family took over my house and were threatening to unalive me, he told me that me and my son could stay with him. Mind you, I was about 20, 25. So we stayed with him, and he saw me going back and forth with having to pepper spray family members, having to go to court, not even being able to get my own apartment because I had this house that was hanging over my head. And so, because of all of this stuff, he decided that he was going to step in. So, I trusted him. And as a result, a month after me moving in and staying with him, he decided to start getting me to, or asking me to come into his room at night to sleep with him. And when I didn't want to and I would say no, he would use or leverage his resources of me staying with him as a way to control and manipulate me. So if I didn't sleep with him, if I would tell him no, then he would tell me and my son we had to move somewhere else. We had to go and find somewhere else to live. Now, being that my entire family is dysfunctional, is very chaotic, there was nowhere else for me and my son to go. So I had to, as somebody said in the video, acquiesce to what this man said because I wanted to make sure that me and my son, but especially my son, had somewhere to live. This situation lasted for a year, and excuse me, almost every night I would tell him no, and he would walk around the house with a big bottle of Corbel, just throwing it back, snapping. "I do everything for you. Why won't you give me what I want?" I mean, just cutting the fucking fool. Mind you, I had absolutely no clue that this is how this man acted. He presented as the perfect gentleman. He presented as a friend. And because I didn't have anybody else, and I'm thinking that this is a safe person because I knew him, he was a person that I worked with. I knew him. He was older. And I thought that he was really just trying to look out for me and my son because the situation was so bad that I went to Green Bay to go visit my dad's side of the family. And before I was able to get back on the bus to come back home, I was getting phone calls with my life being threatened, me and my son's life, that if I came back home to my house that my grandmother left me, my family was going to burn me up in the house. This is literally what happened. I have all the court records. I have all the court papers. So if anybody sees this, if it gets too big, I'm not lying about nothing. But what they didn't know is that I ended up with a person who used their resources as a way to leverage against me for them to get me to do what they wanted me to do. So that's my example of a man using leverage to get me as a woman to do what he wanted me to do. Now, I want to hear your stories. What I need you to do is hashtag my divinity is within, hashtag leverage, and hashtag the Lapeef network. I'm going to put all the hashtags in the video, in the comments, or the description so that you will know exactly which hashtags I'm talking about, because all of us have been through this. Now, what we as women are doing right now is unpacking. We're going back and we're realizing the many ways that men have been harmful to us, which they like to deny, which they like to act like hasn't happened, which they like to act like, you know, they haven't done these things. But we all know that they have. The fact that a panel of 10 men sat on the internet and use the word leverage as if it's not a harmful thing to the person that you're using the leverage on. Only one man, the public offender, actually said or challenged the question. Nobody else challenged the question. Nobody else thought to themselves, in the context of this question, leverage is not the best thing. So let me ask, why would I even need to use leverage over someone other than me being manipulative, abusive, and wanting to control someone? Men don't realize that when they talk, there are people who hear them the actual way that they're meaning what they're saying. They don't realize that. I hear you very clearly. I know exactly what you're saying. And you can try to manipulate us. You can try to make it seem like that's not what you meant. Whoever came up with the question, especially if it was Lapeef, you all are red flags. You're abusive. And the man that y'all made fun of, the public offender, that's the reason why men are afraid. Not that he was afraid, but if you go back and look at the video on Lapeef's channel, the way that they tried to clown the public offender because he distanced himself from the cult of men, he excluded himself from the brotherhood, that is how you know that it's very hard for men to step out from the cult of men and the brotherhood, the bro code, and actually be different. Because when they do, they literally get ganged up on by other men. And if they don't have the wherewithal on the inside or the fight to fight on the outside, these other dudes, they will just fall victim. And this is why a lot of men don't change. This is why, because most men are really trying to impress other men. That's what it's really about. And so the fact that the public offender did something different is very, very commendable for this situation. So again, the challenge is, now that you've heard my story, I want to hear your stories of how men have used leverage to get you to fall in line. Hashtag my divinity is within. Hashtag leverage. Hashtag Lapeef Network. And I'm going to put them in the description so that you will see them and then you can use them, tell your story, upload it. I'll get the mention or whatever it is. I'll be researching and trying to, look for them. But I really want this to get out because I want to show how men do use their resources to try to control us women. Thank you.